Ready, start. India's 2025 carbon emissions have increased slowly compared to last year's stop, while global carbon emissions are expected to rise to 38 billion tons, or by 1.1%, this year, the growth in India's emissions is expected to increase by 1.4%, according to the Global Carbon Project, an authoritative tracker of fossil fuel emissions stop. This is lower than in recent years. In 2024, India's emissions grew 4% than the previous year stop para. The slower increase was partly due to a favorable monsoon that reduced cooling demand, as well as a strong growth in renewable energy, leading to lower coal use stop para. China's emissions in 2025 are projected to increase by 0.4%, also a slower growth than in recent years stop. This was due to a moderate growth in energy consumption combined with an extraordinary growth in renewable energy stop para. Emissions are projected to grow in the United States in bracket plus 1.9% and the European Union in bracket 0.4% in 2025 stop para. Overall, India is the third largest emitter of carbon at 3.2 billion tons annually in bracket 2024, led by the US in bracket 4.9 billion tons and China in bracket 12 billion tons. Stop. India's per capita emission is 2.2 tons of carbon dioxide per year, the second lowest among 20 of the largest economies globally. Stop. Coal is the major fuel type contributing to India's emissions. Stop para. The projected rise in global fossil CO2 emissions in 2025 is driven by all fuel types: coal plus 0.8%, oil plus 1%, natural gas plus 1.3%. Stop. Over the 2015-2024 period, emissions from permanent deforestation remained high, around 4 billion tons of CO2 per year, while permanent removals through reforestation and forest regrowth offsets about half of the permanent deforestation emissions. Stop para. Total CO2 emissions, the sum of fossil and land use change emissions, have grown more slowly in the past decade in bracket 0.3% per year, compared to the previous decade in bracket 1.9% per year. Stop. The remaining carbon budget to limit global warming to 1.5 degree Celsius is virtually exhausted. Stop para. The remaining budget for 1.5 degree Celsius is 170 billion tons of CO2, equivalent to 4 years at the 2025 emissions levels. Stop para. With CO2 emissions still increasing, keeping global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius is no longer plausible, said Professor Pierre Friedling Stein, of Exeter's Global Systems Institute, who led the study. Stop. The remaining carbon budget for 1.5 degrees Celsius, 170 billion tons of carbon dioxide, will be gone before 2030 at current emission rate stop. We estimate that climate change is now reducing the combined land and ocean sinks, a clear signal from planet Earth that we need to dramatically reduce emissions. Stop para. The latest numbers come even as world leaders are gathered in Belém, Brazil, to attempt progress in transitioning away from fossil fuel use while also negotiating how to pay for the costs of bolstering defense against the effects of human caused climate change already underway. Stop.